Hello everyone, it's Ravine, welcoming in the beginning of the month of September energies. And this reading is for the 4th to the 10th, so the first week of September. And I've pulled this week's card from the Shamanic Medicine Oracle card deck. And this pull is interesting because we have 3 cards in reverse and 2 with the keywords of expression. So the first card I pulled is water expression in reverse. So I feel like this card is speaking to our current states of mind, our thoughts, the situations we might find ourselves in. We might be in states of worry or doubt, and things don't feel like they're in flow or in alignment or as we wish them to be. So there's a sense of feeling blocked or stagnant and unable to move forward. There is feelings of overwhelm coming up. And again, this is by thoughts, perhaps emotions, and by our responsibilities. So water, though, represents source, awareness, purity, cleansing. And I'm seeing that this creative expression it appears to just feel really blocked. But the truth is that we are never really blocked. We are always in flow. And just like the ocean, flow is either receding inwards or it's actually billowing and spilling outward. And as it's receding inwards, what we're faced with is really what we allow to stifle our own flame, our own inspiration, our own truth. And mainly, these are thoughts, beliefs, fears, and both our conscious and unconscious attachments to them. So we might not be aware of how we are hanging or clinging on to these beliefs or fears or thoughts. So when life happens to us, we find ourselves in the position of being a victim to our circumstances. However, when we are in flow, we find ourselves on top of the world, right? So the next card that came out was soul retrieval, and again in reverse. So the key word here is reclamation. It's speaking to scattered energies and emotions. This occurs when we give our power away, and that might be through a traumatic event or just everyday patterns that we're through a job or through relationships or through indulgences. So with this results in feeling like a loss of control over your life, or maybe you feel like you've lost a part of yourself. So my question being posed to you is, imagine each moment where you are not living in this present now. Where are you? Are you in the past? Are you in the future? Are you longing or dreaming of another timeline or another world? So really pinning that like awareness, we're scattering ourselves all over the place, past, present, future, in other worlds, in other timelines, in other lifetimes, where we're still maybe even subconsciously hanging on to traumas or events, karmic situations. So this is really a time for us to recall our energies back by intention. And not only is it it's time to also see that we are responsible. It's our responsibility through our sovereignty and our free will to call them back. So you can do this as a practice by simply, having the intention, closing your eyes, breathing into this present moment, seeing all of your fragmented pieces, all of your thoughts, whatever have you, energies coming back and into the wholeness to create the wholeness of your being. You could also just do it by snapping your fingers and seeing all these parts again return from being scattered throughout the universe back into wholeness. So it's a reminder, you are always whole, but it is it is we that send our parts out in seeking. And then so what the pattern is that we find ourselves in these very vulnerable, powerless states. And again, it is up to you. It's up to you to see that you are responsible to call them back. So this is stepping into our power, and by which we are no longer the victim to our circumstances, or the loss of our grounding. And that way, like, we are creating with full intention and full responsibility. So like the question here being posed, like, can you reclaim your energy in each now moment? Finding that space to have the awareness to recall all yourselves back through, whether they're being scattered through thought or emotion, or subconsciously being attached to circumstances or ideas or desire even. So each now moment is actually an opportunity. It's another opportunity afforded to us to do so, to create from the space in consciousness and not from this unconscious patterning, which I would say is from these scattered seeking selves. And so below the soul retrieval card came the North card, and that too is in reverse. And the key word here is solitude. And what comes up here with the solitude card really strongly was detox. And the words detox can have many meanings. It could mean detox the physical body. It could mean detox, the emotional body by purging. It could mean, detoxing from relationships, or just in general things that do not serve us. So when we are in the North, perhaps that's when we're truly seeing where we give our power away. So when we go into these, dark nights of the soul, let's call them, it's when we're receding inwards. So we give our power away in thought or to substance or to people, and we are being called to really put distance between those influences that control us and see where do we truly stand. And this is where the uncomfortableness comes in, because often we feel weak. We feel like we've lost our direction. Like when we're no longer chasing those influences, we just really feel lost in it because we are not in our power. So all of this is outside of us. And so when all that falls away and we are in the North, or we are in the womb, we are in that solitude or that receding energy, the void, this is really when we're being shown where we are truly standing within us. And so often this brings up a lot of fear. It brings up a lot of powerlessness, because in fact we are giving our power away constantly. So solitude is that inward journey, not seeking for outside of us, but inward, checking in with ourselves. So also speaking to that solitude is not about being alone. It is that of like deep contemplation, healing, vision quest. And the visualization I was getting was that a caterpillar does not go into the cocoon worrying about being alone. It knows it has to go in, it must go in for transformation. And it does not need approval from self or from anything outside of it. So this energy is a time of regeneration, recalibration, transformation, rest, rejuvenation, self-care, self-acknowledgement. So it's that of confronting that which keeps you separated from your truth and your highest potential outside of the said cocoon. So the questions that I had here posed are, how are you influenced by your thoughts, your beliefs, and those of others around you or in the world? Does fear and worry keep you from living your best life? And the other thing is you can't stay in the cocoon forever. You can't always stay in there. So when the cycle comes back around, what your heart wills is going to be calling you forth. Like as you're coming into this contemplation, these realizations, what your heart is truly willing, your purpose, your essence is calling you forth. Not necessarily your desire, what you want to create with the mind, but your heart, your soul is calling you forth. It's calling you to step into your power. It's calling you to be the co-creator that you are. So that is where the flute and expression in turned right side up comes into play. No pun intended, pun intended. This is the creative expression and beauty you are meant to share with the world. So this is the butterfly in all of its glory. Not the one who is scared to show its wings or fly, or even if it knows it has to take a big journey, right? And the shamanic flute represents freedom. And it is like the wind. And the wind is flowing when it's not restricted. And this expression also represents truth, but not the truth that we're trying to prove to anyone outside of ourselves or even to ourselves. It's the truth of, it's the truth in the beingness, the peace within, the joy, the worry-free mind, the childlike states, where time is really irrelevant, where love and beauty and connection is simple. Like I'm seeing dance and music flowing, lost in time and space, and bringing you back to childhood where, time, you weren't counting the minutes. You were just in your beingness. You were just being all that you are, right? And so it's where that expression of your true self is not blocked by influence of thought or influence of the world, influence of others, and even influence of desire. So the question here is, what does your heart song sound like? Where does it want to go? And who are you really? What do you want to become? What would you do without the fears, thoughts, or people that influence you to stay small? So I'm really getting the message that it is your time to shine. And I will leave you with those questions. I hope you have a beautiful week.